Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Hello and welcome to your news at noon that comes to you with the compliments of Rasna Drink Mix. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get right to the front page comment of today's Kaieteur News before we get to the news in detail. Stand up for what is rightfully yours. Fellow Guyanese, for months now we have shared on a daily basis information on how you are being gangstered by our politicians when it comes to our oil wealth. Now, we call upon our fellow citizens to wake up, rise up and lift up their voices, shout and scream at political leaders who have linked arms to do what big-time gangsters do to the trusting and vulnerable, cheating and robbing you of billions of US dollars. This is the present and future snatched away. This is your children's and their children's prosperity being stolen. Fellow Guyanese, do not sit down silently and do or say nothing. Do something. Call out these thieves who steal your birth promise and force you to continue digging, drain, and cutting cane while they bank billions. Do not do this to yourself and your children. You have been robbed before. Do not sit back helplessly and quietly allowing criminals, leaders to rip off and rob again. Leaders are hoping that these exposures and items that we carry daily will fade away. They will not. They watch nervously to see if the Guyanese people who they are taking advantage of will react. The choice is clear. Do nothing and continue to live in the gutter, or stand up for what is rightfully yours. And now for the top stories we are tracking. Expert says Senegal could have gained billions in US dollars through competitive bidding of gas fields. Guyana lost billions in US dollars by avoiding open and public tender for Kanji Block. And in a gruesome murder of Burby's teens, overseas team concludes investigation. Report expected soon. Valda Lawrence passed through court on fraud charges and government to give 10 cubic meters of water to pensioners. Stay tuned to stay informed.
It seems like children have been home from school forever, and you've done baking, drawing, schoolwork, and played Ring of Roses about 100 times. We've all been under some strain lately, but let us embrace our children. They're under strain too. Let's show them more love, patience, and care. Let's help to build their resilience in these trying times. Not just today or tomorrow, but for the future. Their future.
A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
And now for the news in detail. No one in their right mind would want to sell a property for way less than it is worth and allow the buyers to make 1 million times more in profits after selling it again. With this fundamental reasoning in mind, expert on oil sector corruption Alexandra Gillies categorically states that civil society activists should always be alarmed when governments allow prime assets to be given to unqualified companies for nothing, as opposed to going through a competitive bidding process which would garner billions of dollars in revenue for the citizenry. Gillies cited the case of Senegal, which gave 2 of its prime gas blocks to a crooked businessman for free. He later sold both offshore concessions for billions of dollars in profits that will fill the pockets of his children and grandchildren for life. Gillies categorically stated that an open and well-run competitive tender would have attracted a capable company to explore the blocks. Meanwhile, governments around the world make big money when they award oil and gas contracts by open competitive bidding processes. They also ensure that when such a process is upheld transparently, the best and most eligible companies are chosen to do the job. The U.S. Geological Survey published a report in 2000 which estimated the Guyana-Suriname Basin to hold 13.6 billion barrels of oil and 32 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. Newer finds and estimates have already surpassed that amount. Guyana's Kanji block alone was estimated earlier this year to hold 5.1 billion oil equivalent barrels. By refusing to wait and take the time to study the basin and develop a foolproof open bidding process, Guyana likely forfeited billions of dollars in upfront revenue. For the Kanji block, there was no competitive bidding process, and the block was awarded to a company with nothing of value to its name. In other news, detectives will soon expect a detailed report from the 5-member regional security system team who provided assistance to investigators with their probe into the gruesome murders of 3 West Coast Berbice teens, an incident that sparked nationwide protest action. Commissioner Nigel Hoppy said that the team concluded their stint and departed Guyana last week. However, whether the details of their report will be made public remains unclear. And moving on, PNCR chairperson and former Minister of Health Valda Lawrence's controversial signature on a GCOM document has earned her 2 electoral fraud charges. On Tuesday, Lawrence was arrested but later released on station bail when she reported to the CID headquarters. However, yesterday when she reported there again, she was slapped with 2 conspiracy to commit fraud charges and then taken to the Georgetown Magistrates Courts where the charges were read to her. She was not required to plead to the charges, which allege that she conspired with others to defraud the people of Guyana. The Chief Magistrate then granted Lawrence bail in sum of $50,000 on each charge, with the condition attached that she report to the Brigdam Police Station every Friday. Let's tell you now that pensioners will receive 10 cubic meters of water free of charge from GWI, according to its newly appointed CEO, Sheikh Baksh. Baksh disclosed that the measure falls under the PPP government's budgetary provisions and their campaign promise to provide pensioners with better incentives. The CEO said that the 10 cubic meters of water equates to about 5 400-gallon black tanks of water and is expected to last a pensioner and their partner, if they have, approximately a month. Baksh went on to say that after the allocated amount of water finishes, only then the pensioner will be required to pay for the remaining amount of waters used. You are tuned into Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM, and this is your News at Noon. Coming up after the break, murder convict appeals 62-year sentence. Brigdam lockups finally completed after 7 years, and ex-cop used uniform to conduct robbery. Do stay tuned.
Enjoy Free Night Talk with Digicel, the curfew edition. Get unlimited free talk to any Digicel number between 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. All you have to do is top up $1,000 or more every day before 6 p.m. to enjoy unlimited free talk. That's a whole lot of gaff. No more boring nights. You can now call your mommy, daddy, your bestie, your boo, even granny to tell them all that Digicel unlimited free night talk is back. Terms and conditions apply. Digicel, there with you.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Abdul Budu, who was convicted for murder and manslaughter in relation to the death of 2 brothers from Mackenzie Linden, Shahid and Imran Bacchus, is challenging the 62-year sentence he received in 2017. According to documents filed by his attorney, Mark Conway, Budu is asking the appeal court to overturn the conviction and sentence based on claims that the trial judge Navendra Singh erred in the direction he gave to the jury as regards to the issue of provocation, an element to consider in finding someone guilty for manslaughter. Budu also claimed that the trial judge erred in law by failing to apply case law principles that promote fairness in sentencing. Reports indicated that the brothers were murdered as a result of a dispute over money at Wismar Street, Mackenzie on September 30th, 2012. And moving on, the new Brickdam lockups, which, according to Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben, cost $60 million and took some 7 years to be completed, has finally been commissioned. The facility, which is designed and modeled to house 52 prisoners, was yesterday handed over to the Guyana Police Force by Home Affairs Minister. The previous government had detailed in 2016 that major corrective works had to be done because of design flaws. The minister was questioned at the commissioning about the overall costs of the project, including the minor modifications and ventilation adjustments, which had supposedly delayed the project's completion. The minister turned to his engineer, who told him the overall cost was $60 million. A 19-year-old pedal cyclist and mechanic was on Tuesday robbed of $18,000 cash by an ex-policeman in uniform. The robbery on the mechanic, Dharmendra Yusuf, also known as Ryan, took place around 20 hours 30 as the teen was heading home from work on his bicycle, when the ex-rank and two other men drove up beside him in a white Premio car along the D. Kinderin public road, West Coast of Marara. He reported the matter to the police, and ranks responded quickly and trailed the car into Eidflat. Realizing they were trapped, the driver of the car stopped on the estate road, and he exited and ran away, leaving behind the ex-cop with the other accomplice, who were cornered and apprehended by the police before attempting to escape. In other news, an Auditor General report dated December 31st, 2018 has revealed that $111.5 million, which was supposedly expended for the procurement of medical drugs and supplies in Region 2, is accounted for. This is according to the clerk of the Region 2 RDC, Devanand Ramdat. Ramdat, who functions in the capacity of the Regional Accounting Officer of Region 2, said that in 2018, $210.1 million was requested by the Health Department in Region 2 for the procurement of drugs and medical supplies. Interestingly, of the $210.1 million, just $98.6 million was actually expended. Ramdat said that the balance of $111.5 million was unaccounted for. Let's tell you now that Alan Sim, the man accused of murdering former Georgetown Public Hospital dispatcher Melissa Skeet, is set to know his fate today after the mixed 12-member panel of jurors deliberates on the evidence presented in his trial. Sim, who is facing a trial before Justice Navindra Singh and the jury in the Georgetown High Court, has since led a defense in which he denied having any involvement in the crime. Skeet was found lying on the roadway in the vicinity of Carmichael Street, Georgetown, bleeding profusely from several stab wounds. She died while receiving treatment at the Georgetown Public Hospital. It is now 12 hours 14. Coming up next is your COVID-19 update.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
The number of worldwide coronavirus cases, according to Worldometer, has reached 38,861,505, with deaths at 1,098,561. Recovery cases has reached 29,186,638. The Ministry of Health has recorded 24 new COVID-19 cases, bringing Guyana's overall total to 3,589. There are 80 persons in institutional isolation, 16 persons in COVID-19 ICU, and 900 persons in home isolation. There are 42 persons in quarantine, and the number of recoveries so far is 2,487, while the deaths remain at 106. Coming from CNN, European countries are seeing a surge in COVID-19 cases, with Germany and the Czech Republic reporting single-day highs of new infections. The London mayor says tighter restrictions for the British capital are imminent. Starting Saturday, Paris and several other French cities will be under a nighttime curfew as part of efforts to slow the spread of the virus. A vaccine is still the best way to bring an end to the pandemic in the United States, health experts say, adding that pursuing herd immunity through infections would be dangerous. And BBC, there have been 600,000 confirmed cases of the virus so far in the UK, and more than 40,000 people have died, government figures show. However, these figures only include people who have died within 28 days of testing positive for the virus, and other measures suggest the number of deaths is actually higher. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. Remember, the news came to you with the compliments of Rasna Drink Mix. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's Newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 226-8210 today.